Welcome back to the Act Two podcast, a podcast for the real-life working screenwriter. I'm Tasha Hugh.
And I am Josh Hallman.
And as a reminder, we are Act Two, a support group and a network for the everyday working screenwriter. This podcast is just one of the things we do. Thank you for joining us here today. If you'd like to reach out to us personally because you have questions, topic suggestions, or apparently now hate mail, you can reach out to us at ActTwoWriters@gmail.com, all spelled out, or on our Instagram and Twitter at ActTwoWriters. I'm not Instagram. I am Story Thursday on Instagram and Tosh 3.0 on Twitter and Blue Sky.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram. Tasha, today has been a long time coming.
Oh, so long. I'm so excited.
We're going to be bringing on a guest. It's Melody Garcia. She's my physical therapist.
Yes. I cannot wait.
I've been talking to you about her. We've talked about her a lot. So, all right. But before we do that, some stuff to talk about.
This Week in Writing.
This Week in Writing.
This Week in Writing.
Okay, I only have one, but I feel like it's a big one. It's not a big one. It's just I'm excited about it. Okay, so I saw Mickey 17.
Oh.
Did you see Mickey 17?
I have not, but I do have a few questions for you.
Okay, I'm prepared to answer them. This is the Robert Pattinson movie. Listen, I feel like I've been craving movies that are different so much that I just loved this movie. In the before times, I feel like pre-pandemic, pre-Uber Marvel phase of our lives, I might have been like, that's a weird movie. That's like way too weird for me. That's super indie. But now I'm clearly craving movies so much that think differently, that present visuals and information to me in a totally different way, that I was along for the entire ride of this movie.
Oh, that's great. That everyone's been saying this is going to happen. This pendulum is going to swing the other way, and we're going to be off of the heavy IP-driven films. Not off of them, but it's definitely going to be less in our lives, and we're going to be craving exactly what you're saying. We're going to be craving these original ideas.
Yep.
And you felt it.
I felt it. And this article that I'm looking at right now says that it passes major global box office milestone following a slow start. So I know when I walked out of the movie theater, the guys that I saw it with were like, yeah, this movie's tanking. It's such a bummer. Because it's the same director who did Parasite. And like that was an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
And then the movie following that to be a bomb was like such a bummer, especially because it's so unique. But apparently it's maybe word of mouth, but it's chugging up.
Okay. Now the important question for you.
Yeah.
I know that you're not in Los Angeles at this given moment.
That's true.
What was your theater experience like?
The theaters here are fantastic. And I don't know why the movie theaters in Los Angeles don't get their shit together as the capital of movie everything.
Yeah.
But here in North Carolina, the seats are all like so comfortable and wide, and I got room, and they all recline, all of them
Wow.
recline. There's also less seats per row, so we're not all jammed together. And this is the kicker that I think you will love. There's a little wall in front of our section so that I can't see the fuckers in front of me on their phones.
Oh,
Beautiful.
that is beautiful. God dang. Well, I'm happy to hear that. I was worried that you're going to have like a crummy experience. I will say,
It's been
like,
great here.
a couple years ago, I went to a theater in Wisconsin when I was back home, and I was like, oh man, they don't know how to do it here. And then I got there, and it was just like a million times better.
It's so true. What the fuck, Los Angeles?
LA should be stepping up their game. They should have a masseuse come out and get you ready for this movie. Feed you popcorn. Anyway.
Oh, amazing.
So it's mid-March. This is now my check-in right now for people who have been started the year hot. Like, we're not in January. We're not in February. We're in mid-March. We are basically closing in on entering a quarter of the year being complete.
Yep.
Which is just a wild thought. This always happens. We're about to enter the summertime. We've got the time change happened here, all the things.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just kind of a gut check. I'm not even just saying that. This is kind of, I did this for myself. I guess I'm saying it to you, even though I know that you're pretty busy. But to anybody else is that if you had plans and you're working on something and you're writing something, got to kick it into high gear right now because we're closing in on the year just kind of going fast and getting away from us.
Yeah. Can I check in with you? What's your progress on your writing goals?
My big picture in my control goals of just like, I'm going spec heavy. I'm going spec nuts this year. You and I have the thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, to be clear, we literally just got notes from our manager. So we've turned it into one of our managers and we're going to be revising soon. So that's big steps.
This is in progress. I cannot wait to big picture talk about this when this is all said and done, when we can just openly discuss and we can take everyone through the process, which we experienced like from start to finish.
When we sell this for $1 million?
Correct.
2 million, one for each of us.
Make it 4. I agree. I'm excited. I'm still excited about it. Don't care what any notes say. Second, I'm writing a script. You've read this script with someone else actually that is like 2 weeks from being done.
Oh, I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, because we were on a little bit of a time crunch with it, and the person that I was writing it with is doing their pass. So that's kind of been off my plate, and then I started. And I finished the outline and everything, a third spec, Tasha.
Fucking get it, Josh.
Just going. I was writing. I was like, what am I doing with my life? I don't care. I'm happy. Let's go. It's all coming to fruition.
I'm so happy for you. You're killing it.
It just makes me happy. I don't care about anything else. I feel like I'm like...
You can't. You've specifically said you can't care about anything else except specs this year.
That's it. I made the decision.
Yeah.
I recalibrated my brain.
This is your bed. You're laying in it.
So far, it's moderately comfortable. Getting a little small.
A little warm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing okay too. I have I turned in a treatment for a movie I'm writing, so that's off my plate for now. And I just finished. You guys read it last night in writers group, and an initial preliminary outline for this book that I'm adapting. So that's well on its way, because next step is I have to revise the outline now based on your extensive notes.
No, they weren't that extensive.
But but I'm excited about it, so that's still good. And then I've started brainstorming. I've actually taken an hour now. I've done it once, but it's scheduled for this weekend as well, to sit with my manager, who is such a great just collaborator, really, to talk about one of the movies that I want to be pitching. So we're making serious headway by just spending an hour on Zoom on a Saturday to just talk about ideas for this project. And then last time I wrote down a basic story based on what we talked about. She's going to give me notes, and we're going to go again for another hour and make more headway. So that's chugging along, which I'm really happy about. And then in my spare time, which is really just like in the car, I've been doing research by like listening to audiobooks and stuff for another project that I'm writing, which is a TV show that I want to write, a pilot. And I've started going in my Milanote. We love Milanote here, and started creating some story ideas and research and stuff like that. So I'm
sorry, did you say Milanote?
Milanote.
The company that
hates us for some reason.
Yeah, just fuck it. Come on. Okay, good. You're on top of everything.
I'm on top of it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm going to move into, if you don't mind, a new segment we're going to start doing at the top of every month. We're a little late this month, but it'll be the top of every month. Josh, what is it called?
Are you excited?
Are you excited? This segment is about the movies that are coming out this month, why you should see them, what they are, etc. Black Bag, Joshua. Black Bag is a spy movie written by David Koepp, your boy, who wrote Jurassic Park, Mummy, Mission Impossible, Titan in the industry. Directed by Steven Soderbergh, who directed, of course, Ocean's 11, also a Titan. Starring Titans, Cate Blanchett, Michael Fassbender. This movie came out on March 14th.
Yeah.
Are you excited?
I'm excited, but I don't think I'm running to the theater to see it.
This is very interesting. Fun fact. Soderbergh deliberately reached out to Pierce Brosnan, who plays like the boss of this spy agency that Cate and Michael play spies in, because he had played, of course, James Bond during like my favorite time. Maybe not. And he wanted that to be kind of, as Michael Fassbender called it, like the elephant in the room, that you assume in a way that Pierce Brosnan, who was once James Bond, who's now older, is basically James Bond still, but this is the role he plays when he's older.
Oh, okay. Then yes, I will be seeing it in a theater. Yes.
I thought so.
Okay. You should have just led with that. What if James Bond got old?
James Bond got old. All right. Novocaine. It is an action movie about a guy who can't feel pain. It stars Jack Quaid. It came out March 14th. It's written by Lars Jacobson, directed by Dan Burke and Robert Olson. All of these guys' IMDb's are pretty thin, so this is really their first big thing. Fun fact about this one, Josh. Quaid calls this an action movie for horror fans, which I think is not necessarily a new genre, but I've just never heard it said in that way before, so it like feels like a new genre to me.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of the fun of a whole brand of horror movies like Final Destination or The Monkey, which just came out about the Stephen King short story, are the kills. Like the kills are so fun. And he was saying that this movie basically has the fun and thrill of that aspect of horror movies, but with an action movie thread. Excited? Not excited.
Very excited.
Oh, me too.
This was one of those concepts where when I saw the trailer, I was like, oh, how did I not think of that?
Yeah.
That this is so far in my world of, hey, Tasha, I have this idea of a guy who can't feel pain, and now he's in an action movie. And I think it's great. That's unique. That's different. I mean, I think it could not suffer. It has the potential to kind of have one note of just the pain. I mean, it would be cool if all of a sudden he felt pain in like the third act or something.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm in.
That's cool. Yeah, this movie could so easily be just like a B movie that no one's ever heard of that Jason Statham is in, and we move on from there. I think all of the elements together, of course, Jack Quaid being in it is makes it feel special, and I'm sure how it's directed is going to make it feel like it needs to be a theatrical release. I'm really excited to go see a movie like this.
Yeah.
Like one of those mid-level action movies that we usually get. It's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Snow White, the live-action remake, March 21st is when it comes out. Fun fact about this one, I don't know if this is fun, it was kind of fun to me. I read an article that was saying that what's really interesting about this movie, because we all know we're really tired of live-action Disney adaptations. They are trying to stop that model, which is a good sign, but this was already well into production by the time they kind of made that decision. But we have Snow White, and what this article was saying was that it might be in its favor that at Disneyland, Disney World, among Disney merchandise, Snow White is a pretty prominent thing that you can buy. There's a ton of little kids running around in Snow White outfits when we're at Disneyland, but they probably have never seen the movie because it's so old. The original Snow White is so old. And I don't know if Amelia saw it when she was a kid, but
Of course.
they're kind of betting that maybe because it's so old and a lot of kids haven't seen it, or even like just a generation below us haven't seen it, that people may be more drawn to the movie theater to see a live action version of it because they've heard of it and they're curious about it, but they've never actually seen the original movie. So now like the live action movie is their access point.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited and I'm going to see it. I'll be taking my daughter for sure.
Okay. I'd be curious what Amelia's review is.
It's a very controversial movie. Did you know that?
I was going to talk about that and then just opted not to.
Yeah, maybe not in the Act Two podcast.
You guys can look it up about all the controversies. It's the main topic of conversation around this movie.
It's great.
Unfortunately. Okay, we're almost done. Electric State comes out on Netflix. It already came out, actually, on March 7th. It did. It's there. You can all watch it. It's directed by the Russo brothers, who, of course, did the later Avengers movies. Written by Marcus and McFeely, who wrote the Chronicles of Narnia movies. Lots of Marvel movies. Created Agent of Carter, one of my favorite shows of all time. It stars Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown. Fun fact. This is not an original. It is based on a 2018 graphic novel by Simon Stålenhag, which is Swedish, so I definitely pronounced that incorrectly, who tends to write a lot of retrofuturism, which, if you don't know what that is kind of like the world of Fallout. It sort of has a, retro feel, but also set in the future. Excited, not excited?
I thought I was excited, but I didn't realize it came out, so...
There's no marketing. Netflix doesn't market.
I don't understand. I mean, all the marketing that I saw, which was a little bit of it, you sent me the video of Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt, like, playing with a Talkman or Talkboy or Walkman or whatever it is. And
how do you not know what a Walkman? Why are you pretending like you don't know what that is?
I don't know why I did that. I know exactly what it is.
Talkboy?
Oh, that's from Home Alone. I watched too much Home Alone. The the Walkman, Talkboy, whatever. So I was into it. I bet they have a good relationship, they're good chemistry and everything. I don't know, why haven't I watched this movie yet? This seems
They're
like
not love interests, are they? She's like a child.
I really hope not. I didn't think that at all.
Okay, yeah, it's okay, great. Next movie that comes out on March 9th is Holland. It comes out on Amazon Prime. It's not really a Tasha Josh movie necessarily, but I want to mention it because it stars Nicole Kidman and Gail Garcia Bernal. Fun fact about this movie, this has been in development for a long time. Back in 2013, Naomi Watts and Bryan Cranston were attached to lead this movie. So...
Oh, I've read this script before.
Okay.
This was on the blacklist.
Holland, Michigan was the original title.
This came out weeks ago.
March 9th.
What?
You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. Excited all of a sudden. I love it. I remember that. I think that was like a blacklist script from 2015 or something like that.
This is why we do this.
What?
Yeah.
That was a really good script.
I can't wait. I'm excited now. I wasn't even going to see it, but your review is already stunning.
Yeah. Right. So wait, who's in it?
Nicole Kidman and Gail Garcia Bernal.
What? How have I not heard of this?
I know. It's big. It's a big cast.
Okay.
All right. Death of a Unicorn, written and directed by Alex Sharpman, the weird horror movie, basically, that's starring Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd and a huge other big cast. Comes out March 28th. Fun fact, this is entirely original, and I am so excited about that.
I want to be excited so I can sound sophisticated, but I'm not as excited as I probably should be.
You think it's too weird?
Yeah, there's something about it that I'm just not like excited. Listen, that's not to disparage anything. That's okay. Keep going.
All right. Locked comes out March 21st. It is the contained rated R thriller set entirely in a car, starring Bill Skarsgård, who goes to rob a car, and freaking Anthony Hopkins, the king, as the guy who owns the car.
Yeah.
Fun fact, this is an English language remake of a 2019 Argentinian movie called 4x4 with the exact same premise.
You know, I'm excited to see how it's done properly, if it's done properly.
I love contained movies like that.
Same.
Because it's so hard, and I so appreciate it.
I'd love to read scripts of contained films because, you know, you read it and there's so much there in like 70 pages. And I think it's always hard to do. But yeah.
If you want to wet your whistle for this movie, guys, go watch Buried, starring Ryan Reynolds. What, you have a problem with my phrase? I
haven't heard that in a long time.
It's also kind of used incorrectly. All right. Last one coming out in March. And of course, we're just talking about big movies, the big theatrical releases and also like the biggest of the streaming releases. The Woman in the Yard, which is another horror movie. It's from the director of Josh.
Yeah.
Carry On, your favorite.
Oh, yeah. Top movie of the year.
Written by Sam Stefanok. I think it's interesting. I saw the extended trailer recently, and that is actually what really got me interested in it. It seems super cool. My fun fact about this is kind of that I don't know anything about it. The movie was clearly in development at Universal and Blumhouse, so it's a Blumhouse movie. And my assumption from what I've read so far and could discern is that it was an OWA. So it was in development, meaning like it was somebody's idea. I don't know if it was original spec or someone internally had this idea, but it was an OWA. And that's all I know. It's not based on anything, which is cool. I love that a lot of these are not based on things, which is, again, it's what you're saying, that people are predicting we're going to get more interesting movies coming up, and that will help jumpstart theatrical releases again. And I'm seeing that trend here.
I'm excited.
Okay. That is our newest segment, everybody.
It's going to happen once a month.
Once a month. All right. And now we'll go on to our main topic with Melody.
All right. We have our very, very special guest, Melody Garcia, the best physical therapist I know.
Yay!
Yeah, we could clap. You have seen me through the darkest of days, helped me through multiple injuries, and we finally had you on. We've had episodes where I've referenced you and talked about you, and I was like, man, we need to get. Thank you for listening to the podcast, by the way.
Yeah.
Tasha the other day. Well, do we want to say hi, Melody?
Hi, Melody. It's so great to meet you. I'm so
It's
excited.
so nice to meet you, Tasha,
for
and I'm
today.
so happy to be on. Thank you guys for having me. This is really freaking cool.
So I want to first mention, because I've told multiple people we're having you on because I'm so excited, and they're like, how does that cross over with a screenwriting podcast? And to me, it's so obvious. Guys, we sit at our desks for 12 plus hours in the same exact position, and we hunch over and we do weird things with our bodies, and eventually that hurts. If it doesn't hurt already, it's going too soon. And Josh and I talk about it all the time, about how our bodies suck. And so it just made sense to have Melody come on to help us all with this problem.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to be here. And, and I thought the same thing when Josh was like, do you want to, like, we're thinking maybe you should come to I'm like, what the hell am I going to talk about when you're right? Like, what? Are you sure? I'm like, are you sure you want me on there? What am I going to say?
And then every time you'll say to me, well, we'll get into this, but you'll be like, have you been sitting all day? I'm like, yeah, I've been sitting all day. You're like, wait, how's a PT going to come on the podcast? I'm like, this is why. All right, we need to give a little background of who you are.
Okay.
And
My name's Melody. I'm a physical therapist. I've been a physical therapist for a little over 7 years now. I work at an typical outpatient orthopedic clinic. I work at Elite Ortho Sport Physical Therapy. We say Brentwood, but it's really just like LA.
If anyone goes, just throw out.
Yeah.
The Active
Come on
podcast.
out.
Yeah,
Come check us out if you're in the area. Maybe you'll see Josh in there.
Can you also explain for the people in the back, or people who have never gone to a physical therapist because they're not weak like I am, what a physical therapist actually does?
Yeah. Well, I think that just depends on what setting you're in. I can speak for my setting because we're in LA and we're in the area that we are. A lot of our patients tend to be a lot more active. So we'll treat patients of all ages. We'll treat little baseball players up to 80-year-olds who like to play pickleball, Pilates, all that stuff. And we really just help people get back to where they were prior to their injury or pain, or we just want them to move better. So
if I walked into your office right now and I said, hey, I got shoulder pain, what would that look like? What would you start with?
Your first visit?
Yeah, what would my first visit look like?
Yeah, we'd bring you back and do an initial evaluation and just watch you move. Probably have you raise your arms, bring your arms behind your back. We'll test your strength. We'll have you do things that you normally do, whether it's through work or at home with kids or whatever. We'll look for things that we can work on, and then we'll focus on that. And usually that's exercise. We'll do a little bit of manual work, depending on where you're at. If you're a post-op patient, we'll do a lot more manual. If you're not and you can move more, then we like to do more exercise.
Can I ask what manual work is?
Yeah. That'll, again, just depend on how you present, but that can be, a lot of patients will refer to it as massage, but we don't like to say that. We call it soft tissue mobilization. But that's really just working on muscle tightness, any range of motion joint mobility deficits that you may have if you're not getting full extension in your knee or full range of motion in your shoulder. We'll work on mobilizing your shoulder, and it's typically not painful, but it is different than you're probably used to in a typical massage session.
Got it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, Melody, you can just tell what's wrong with me just by just pressing in areas. And it's like, oh my God, what's wrong? It's magic. I'm telling you.
It is. It feels like magic. As soon as I did PT for the first time, which was only just last year, not that long ago, I did walk away being like, wow, that person was a wizard. Just how they could tell things on my body. I was like, this thing hurts and it's totally random and I don't know why. And she's like, actually, it's very clear why. And let me explain it to you.
You have, I'm not just saying this, you have the amazing ability to just kind of see something that's wrong. Even sometimes I'll be doing something, I'll just hear from across the room, you'll be like, move your shoulder. And I'll be like, oh, how'd you know that?
Why are you doing that?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah, it's insane. And I also would like to say there are people, I know you said you would try to nurse people back to healthy lifestyle, but then you have some lifers like me who just can't get rid of me. I stick around, man. You're not getting rid of me, just for the record.
Josh, that's not good. I have some patients who are like, let's say I get a new student, and they're like, oh, I've been with Melody since this. I'm like, that's not a good thing. I want you to graduate.
This is not a permanent position, Josh.
Yeah.
It's okay, though. We call it maintenance.
Maintenance. That's a nice way of saying it.
Yeah.
Melody, you are, however, on a screenwriting podcast. Do you watch movies or television?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
Josh asks me all the time. I'm horrible. I cannot stay awake for a movie.
No, this is not true.
But when I do watch a movie, I enjoy movies if I can stay awake for them. But yeah.
Okay.
Like what? Like what's your favorite movie?
I'm so embarrassed.
I was just kidding.
I want to
What
know.
is it? Yeah.
I don't know that I have favorite movies anymore, but growing up I liked like all the rom-coms. I liked like every Julia Roberts movie, of course.
Naturally.
Pretty Woman, My Best Friend's Wedding, Stepmom, whatever.
Good taste.
Well, that's not a rom-com, but
That is definitely not a rom-com.
I liked, what did I like? Wedding Crashers,
Yeah.
The Hangover, Old School, you know.
Okay,
I
all right,
don't
we're
want to
seeing your
think.
taste. Okay.
I don't want to have to think.
We got you.
Yeah. One of my goals is to get you back into watching movies just by talking about it all the time.
I know. I need to watch Honora.
The
Yeah, I
Oscar
mean-
winner. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nora. Yeah.
Wow. That's just like Wedding Crashers.
All right, Josh.
Okay.
Take
okay.
us in. I'm so excited.
Screenwriters. We sit at our desk for a very long time. Believe it or not, I actually do something throughout the day. And I sit down. And can you talk about sitting? Horrible for you, correct?
I hate to say it's horrible for you, but it's not great. Like, we're meant to move, you know, like anywhere where you're doing something for a long period of time, it's not great.
And what kind of effects does it have on the body?
Also, what's considered a long time? Give me a range.
That's funny.
Tasha.
For me, because I'm on my feet all day and I move so much, like 30 minutes in from sitting, I'm like struggling. I'm like having to adjust. I have to, you know, so this is maybe different for everybody, but I would say anywhere between anything over an hour is a long time to not move, to not stand up. Yeah, I would say that's a long time.
Yeah, that's not great.
This doesn't bode well for me.
Because why? It affects your back, right? Like if you're
Yeah, it affects your entire body. So what happens is when you're sitting for a long period of time or doing anything for a long period of time, your muscles fatigue. They can't do the same thing over and over for that long. So certain muscles start to shorten and tighten. Certain muscles start to lengthen or stretch and get weaker. And so there's an imbalance in that, right?
We were just talking to somebody right before this who asked us to ask you like bands, right? Like what are those bands?
Resistance bands?
Resistance bands.
Yeah.
Is that something
I
someone
actually
could
have
be
one
doing?
right here.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even before doing anything with resistance bands, I think there's a lot that you can do to improve, one, your posture, your endurance, your tolerance to sitting without compromising muscles and stuff.
What would you recommend for someone who does sit like that for hours? Because, so just to give you an idea of me, and Josh, you can chime in. I'm so curious how much you sit and because I know you move more than I do even. But like I can sit at my desk, Melody, for, we're not talking about pee breaks, but that like, it's like just pee breaks.
Yeah.
Like 12 hours at least. Like I've sat longer.
At one time?
Yeah, oh yeah, at one time.
Like 12 hours, you don't get up.
I get up, I get my coffee, I get my breakfast, I sit down, I write, I maybe get up to get lunch.
Yeah. How many hours?
That's 12
Okay.
hours. Yeah.
How many hours at a time though? Let's say before you get up for lunch. Like
4,
3 hours?
maybe 4 at a
Okay,
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a long time. Okay. So I think where you want to start is your ergonomics, right? How you're sitting, where your desk is, where your screen is. You want to make sure your screen, and this is bad for me right now actually. You want your screen to be at eye level, so you're not looking down or you're not looking too far up.
Okay.
Oh.
And that if that means you have to stack some books, which I'm doing right now, then you need to do that or get a stand. Now Amazon has so many cool things now. You can just stack your laptop on something.
And then you would probably need to get a independent keyboard because instead of using the laptop, because it's weird to like type.
That's ideal. Yeah. But that's one thing. Another thing is making sure that your chair, well, you want to think about everything being at 90 degrees. Okay. So elbows are at 90 degrees, your hips are at 90 degrees, your knees are at 90 degrees, your feet are planted on the ground. You're not sitting on a wallet, on keys, on your phone, anything like that. Your pelvis is even.
Wow.
You want to make sure you're not torquing your elbow too far back, right, when you're typing. You want to keep it as neutral as possible.
Tasha, are you taking notes right now?
You know it.
She probably,
I can see it.
I'm absorbing this like nothing else.
Yeah. And you want to make sure that your shoulders are not shrugged up, whether that's actively because you're really into something, you're really stressed or whatever. You want to make sure that your armrest or the surface that you're on allows your shoulders to kind of relax.
Is it relaxed, right? Or is it also like pulled back a little
Ideally
bit?
pulled back.
Ideally
pulled back. But definitely not close to your ear.
Not close to your ears. What I learned after PT, which I never even noticed this about my body, and I consider myself like fairly self-aware, was that like even when I was just brushing my teeth in the morning, my shoulders would be up and I'm like, why is that? So then, but I didn't notice that until my therapist like made me understand, what the hell was going on with my shoulders.
Yeah, and it's not just you, it's all of us. I do it too. I'm like, in between patients, I'm like typing like this. So it's just a thing about like being mindful of your posture and correcting it when you can.
Is there a certain keyboard or anything that you'd recommend to keep your hands at the right angle? Like there are ergonomic keyboards. Are those useful? Or
I'm sure there are ergonomic keyboards. What you do want to keep in mind though is that you don't want to apply so much pressure at your wrists. You don't want your wrist to be like pressing down on a surface.
Okay.
Wait, why is that?
Because you have structures here like nerves also that can get compressed here. So you do want your wrist to be as neutral as possible. And that's like a little bit of extension, not too far up. I'm exaggerating there, but
damn.
Yeah, I know.
Are there stretches specifically for people who just sit all the time? Like, should you be working on your core?
Yeah, it's gonna require a lot of mindfulness. And I usually with my patients who do have to sit for a long time, I give them as simple of an exercise as I possibly can to make sure that they do it. Otherwise they won't. There are two that I like to do. First one is a shoulder blade squeeze. So drawing those shoulder blades back, activating the muscles between your shoulder blades. And that doesn't mean you bring your rib cage out or your chest out. It just means you're activating those shoulder blades. Bringing them together. And I'll say for every hour that you're sitting, I'll tell patients to do 10 of those every hour. And if you can remember that, great. If not, set a timer. Mm-hmm. Set a timer, 10 shoulder blade squeezes. Just one set. And that's going to help reset your posture. Another one is a chin tuck. And this isn't super like flattering, but you're essentially drawing your chin towards your throat. It doesn't mean you're bringing your chin down towards your chest. It's you giving yourself a double chin.
Oh, why is that helpful?
Because we tend to be in this like what they call a forward head, rounded shoulder posture. And I'll show you my profile. Mm-hmm. We're kind of just like here, right? We fatigue and we end up like this and we're on our phones or whatever. Yeah. So what you want to do is get out of that position, draw that chin in, shoulders are back. And I would say do 10 reps of chin tucks where you hold for 10 seconds at a time. Create a double chin for yourself, hold for 10 seconds, and then release. And then again, every hour that you're in front of a computer.
Damn.
Or in traffic or whatever.
Okay.
I think that's simple enough, right?
Yeah, that's simple.
10 shoulder blade squeezes, 10 chin tucks.
It's easy to do.
What's your opinion on 10 squats every hour?
I'm all for it. Anything to get you out of what you're in for a long time, I'm for it. Ideally, you would get up also.
Yeah.
If not every 30 minutes, every hour, every 2 hours. I know you guys are writers, so you're in the zone. It's hard to get out of it, but at least stand up, walk around. Ideally, you would have a standing desk. I tell patients to get standing desks all the time.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because I have heard, on Instagram, that
good source.
that maybe a standing desk has proven not to be as useful as we thought it was. That people set a timer, you raise the standing desk, you stand up for a bit, but that's actually not doing what you think it's doing, which is, I always imagined it's reversing the curse of sitting so long. But people are saying that it's actually either not doing anything or just as bad to stand for long periods of time. So people are recommending what you're talking about, which is like move instead of just stand, move. But
yes,
you just said standing desk. So what are your thoughts on like just interrupting sitting by standing?
Just that, not doing anything else?
Correct.
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I'm going to still be for it because it's going to get you out of sitting. Anything where you're in a position for a long time, I would say get out of. So if it's at least standing for another hour before you sit down again, I'm fine with that.
You heard it here. It's not that bad.
People get too crazy with the researchers and the TikTok and stuff. Just get out of what you're doing for a moment,
That's the problem is I think it's so easy to find like you were saying, you find yourself in the zone, you're comfortable, you're sitting in a weird position, but you're like, as a writer, you're getting stuff done, which feels amazing when you're actually like making progress writing something. And then you just forget to get up or you sacrifice. You're like, I'm not getting up. I don't care if my back hurts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's for you guys, especially, you got to give yourself some grace. So like realistically, if you're in the zone for 3 hours, like then just set a timer for 3 hours. Every 3 hours you get up. I know that sounds crazy. That's not ideal, but like work towards the 1 hour, the 30 minutes. Because people freak out about what they see on TikTok or Instagram, whatever. They're like, well, this person said this. Like, nope. Just give yourself some grace and do what you can.
Yeah.
Let's be realistic.
So when I'm getting up and at my 3 hour marker, what should I do when I get up? Should I just walk to the bathroom and back? Should I go do some jumping jacks? What should I do? And how long should I do it?
I think that's just going to depend on your home environment, what you have time for, what can you realistically do. Like if I tell you to do 10 jumping jacks and the likelihood of you doing that is 0, then don't do that.
Yeah.
Just walk around, do some marching in place, lie on a foam roller, get your back straight.
You love foam rollers.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're helpful, especially for your thoracic spine, right? That's the area between your neck and your low back. That's the area that tends to get what we say kyphotic. It's naturally kyphotic. That's the natural curvature of it, but it gets more rounded as we sit. So if you can get on a foam roller, do some extensions, again, doing the opposite of what you're doing all day, and you're going to feel good.
If I'm sitting forever and I'm not listening to your advice, what are some of the signs that I may actually have issues I need to go to you for? What will start happening?
You'll probably start to feel really tight or have pain, whether that's at the base of your head, like from bringing that chin forward, or between your shoulders, your upper back, because you're not engaging those muscles, or your low back. That's typically what happens. Some people even get headaches from that tension in the neck.
What about a numbness and tingling in your arm?
Oh, numbness, tingling. That's really common.
It is?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's postural too.
In your legs as well from sitting, or just your arms?
It can happen. Yeah, it can happen from sitting. And so numbness, tingling, usually, not always, usually it's going to come from your spine. Sometimes it comes from other areas outside of the spine, but usually it's your spine, and it's usually postural. Things are getting compressed. Things are compressing the nerves because your spine is not in its typical neutral position. And so you want to do the opposite of what you're in. So if you start to feel numbness, tingling in your hands, and when I say it can typically come from your spine, other areas that it can come from though are like I mentioned earlier, like muscles in like your chest or your forearms or your hands or something from actual compression.
That's crazy. That's what's so nuts is, well, obviously you guys know that I am close to being a professional tennis player. And so I have all these back pain, of course, back problems mixed in with sitting all the time. And then I was doing this thing, what is this? Like this part?
Your lats. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a lat rollout, which I was going to tell you about, Tasha, because it took the pain away from my lower back, which was just insane. It was because everything's
connected.
Melody's like, you guys are fucking morons, but I'm like, whoa.
No, the lats are something people overlook actually, because the lats connect your shoulders to your low back and they forget about it. Like, hey,
oh sure,
that stuff gets tight. Roll it out.
I'm going to tell a small story about myself.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Take us down memory lane.
Fun.
So you heard about my sitting rituals. One day I woke up and I couldn't lift my left arm. I couldn't take off my shirt very well. I couldn't get a coffee cup from the shelf. I couldn't do anything. And I thought, well, clearly it's something from sleeping because it happened after I woke up, and it's 1 and 1 is 2. And then I went to PT and she's like, no, stupid. It's because you sit all the time and you have terrible posture. And I was like, well, but also there's this pain over here, which is totally, you can't see it, guys, but you're listening, but it's to the totally left side of my bicep. So all around my shoulder blade in the back, and then also in that same arm, but in the front almost, or the side was in pain. I was like, those are two separate things. She's like, absolutely not. Those two things are connected. And it's because of your posture and how you sit. And that to me blew my mind, because obviously I diagnosed myself, which is completely incorrect. And then when I said, well, but I fell asleep and woke up and suddenly had this pain, she was like, yeah, it's because it's been weakening over time. And it just now happened, or you just now felt it, but it's been gradually happening over time. And you mentioned earlier that the big problem of sitting for so long is that your muscles just start to slowly weaken, right? So we're not even noticing that it's happening until suddenly pain. And so your advice is cut off that point before you get to the pain and just start doing these exercises, even if you don't feel the pain yet.
Right.
Did anything Tasha say resonate where you're like, I know the solve to whatever she just said?
Or that makes sense for writers, for someone who would
it makes sense. And did your PT say, oh, I think the source of this is this, or I think it's that? Not that they need to, they're really just there to treat impairments, but did she say, I think it's coming from here?
She said it was a posture thing, that what did she say? This has been a while. That basically my muscles, I don't know names of muscles, Melody.
Mm-hmm. That's okay.
The muscles over by my left shoulder blade had basically weakened and weren't able to support myself anymore because of the way that I was sitting.
Right. Yeah, those muscles tend to get really weak. And just to name a few, now you're going to be dropping these names out.
Let's go.
It's going to be your rhomboids, your mid traps, your low traps. And that's all of us. All of those for most of us, those tend to be weaker because we're so dominant in the pecs, in the upper traps, in the lats. So those muscles, it's normal. It's normal. It's just a matter of being more mindful of how you're sitting.
And then do a lot of writers have lower back problems?
Yeah. Well, pretty much anyone that's sitting. Low back is very, very common.
Neck
and low back. I mean, honestly, all of it. But the spine in general. We don't take care of our spines as much as we should. But just in general, over time, it's normal with aging. When sometimes people come in and they're like, I got an MRI and it says I have a disc issue here and I have degenerative stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's normal. If I got an MRI, I would say the same thing.
I was going to get an MRI and you told me, you're like, they're going to find a problem. So I never got the MRI.
No.
Yeah.
Don't
people
need that.
Get an MRI.
Oh, never mind then.
It's not going to change my treatment a ton. It's just going to tell me what's going on structurally in your back, but I'm going to still treat you for the impairments that you present with.
I'm going to tell another story.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
Post-pandemic, I have, especially last year, sort of when it culminated, I had a ton of pain in my calves, which just felt like tightness, but it felt also like pain. And then when I would walk anywhere, walking my dog around the neighborhood, the bottoms of my feet would hurt so bad that it was very difficult to walk. And after maybe 20 to 30 minutes, sometimes it would clear up, almost like everything loosened up and I was okay to walk, but sometimes not. Sometimes the whole hour of walking would just be extremely, extremely painful. I finally went to my doctor. I was like, help me, please. And she asked me how I sat, and she noticed that I'm 5'3" and 3/4. And she's like, do you happen, how do you put your feet when you sit and you write for many hours? And I was like, oh, well, I know I'm supposed to keep my feet flat. So I got this thing from Amazon that it's like a footrest, but the footrest is curved, which most of them on Amazon are. You can get the flat ones, but even the flat ones tilt. But I got kind of the curved one. It's a cushion, and I put my feet on that. But it does force my feet to kind of be at a little bit of an angle when I sit because I'm still very short. And she's like, oh, well, that makes sense then. And so basically, like, she believed that my calves were just extremely tight and just like basically almost like had tendonitis because they were constantly just in this weird position for sitting for 12 hours. And now that I've been more mindful of that, that pain has gone away.
That is so interesting. I didn't know that they were rounded footrests. Now, does that mean it put your foot in like a pointed, like where you're pointing your toes down?
Pointed
almost?
up.
Or the up?
Yeah, pointed up.
So like, got it. So your heels were lower.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so interesting.
Is that bad to do? Wait, that worked for you, Tasha? Did you say?
I imagine, and please, Melody, you tell me, but pointing your feet like that for 4 hours at a time, interrupted by something simple as a pee break, is probably not a good thing.
Like I said, in general, you want to keep your feet or any joint like in a neutral position. So what she was essentially doing was like putting her feet in what we say dorsiflexion. So like one extreme of her ankle range of motion. Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting.
It's crazy because there's all these little things you can do that I see people do at PT yesterday. Like the other day, someone was just like hitting someone's arm, stuff like that. But these little things work and they help.
I did want to say something actually when you're mentioning the back, the low back. So your spine has a natural curvature. So like your neck and your lumbar, your low back tend to be or are in a lordotic structure, and the thoracic spine in a kyphotic. But the lumbar, the low back, is meant to have a little bit of curvature. But what tends to happen when you sit is we start to round. Our pelvis starts to kind of tuck under, our low back starts to round. And so it's really good to have some sort of lumbar support, but you want to which creates like that natural curvature so you don't get into that slump, that slouch position. But you want to make sure that lumbar support, and I'm saying this because my brother had an issue the other day and I told him and he was like, wait, what? I didn't know this. You don't want to put the lumbar support, and if that means like an official pillow or just like a towel roll or anything, at your your tailbone, you want to put it higher where you're supposed to have that curvature.
Wait,
so you don't want it like at your butt. You want it higher.
Oh, to put something behind your back.
Yeah.
Like a pillow. Possibly.
Yeah, a pillow, a towel, whatever, towel roll.
And then just focus on like leaning back into it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say lean, but just like sit upright.
How do you feel about sitting on those balls? You know how people sit
Swiss
on
balls? Yeah, that was like so trendy for a while.
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that done?
I haven't heard people talk about it. I don't know that I've had any patients actually do that, honestly. I don't think it's dumb. I just don't know anybody that could tolerate sitting on that thing for a very long time. I think it's fine.
I've tried that before, and
what happened?
Did you get a six pack?
Well, yeah, because you're sitting there and you're like you're trying to hold yourself in place the entire time.
How can you concentrate on whatever you're doing?
That was the thing.
It is definitely a core challenger. Yeah.
Damn.
I had a friend. I sent you a picture. Melody.
Me?
You did? Yes, Melody, not you.
Yeah.
So you guys are talking off to the side?
Melody and I are besties now.
Yeah, I've actually known Tasha for a while now, so.
Great.
My friend is also a writer. And she mentioned...
Your friend, right?
My friend. Your friend.
Asking for
so
a friend.
She just maybe sits for like 12 hours a day. I don't know.
She has like some foot pain.
Yeah. She's super cute. Anyways, she said there's this small muscle at the back of her right arm that is hurting and was wondering if it's related to posture and being a writer, or if it's just something else. Don't think about it as writing.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, how does she know that it's that muscle? Or she just looked it up. Like, did somebody tell her that's that muscle? Or did she just kind of Google it?
No one has told her that. I think she Googled it. She was like, where is the pain? Let me get a picture of anatomy. And this is where the pain is. So it may not be that muscle, but that's where it's located on her arm, I guess.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm like, I'm not sure it's that muscle, but that area in general, the back of your shoulder tends to get really tight when it's not activated, when you're sitting again in one position for a long time. And in the clinic, we call it the posterior cuff. When that gets tight, that'll bring your shoulder forward. It gets achy. That's what I was thinking. Or if you mentioned that potentially like other friends might have the same issue. I'm not sure, but I'm wondering if it could be coming from her neck also.
Oh, interesting.
So yeah, so the nerves
This is
that
why
come
it's
out
magic,
of
by the way, guys.
yeah, it could be again postural. Everything's postural, right? So it could be that like a nerve that connects to that part of her body is being impinged somewhere. Because I'm like, I was trying to figure out like, why does that specific muscle? She circled the deltoid muscle, but I'm thinking it's either the posterior cuff that tends to get tight, and also part of probably a little bit of that, just from prolonged position, or pain from her neck that's radiating.
So then it could either be the slouching that we're talking about, all the head thing that you're talking about, or could it also be the position of her arms on the table? Because us writers just pretty much have our arms on the table constantly. Could that also affect the back of the arm right there?
Yeah, anything where you're in a position for a long time, that could definitely affect it. It just didn't, to me, it's just not something that I'm super familiar with or see a lot of specifically in that area. That's why I was a little bit like, couldn't be coming from her neck.
Okay.
So whenever we get, like, let's say we get a patient who's like, I have this pain around my shoulder or whatever, and it doesn't make sense with how they're presenting or what they're doing, then we'll definitely look at the neck, because a lot of that stuff will refer down to the shoulder.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. I love this shit.
I do too. It's like a puzzle.
Yeah, you guys should look up dermatomes and myotomes. They're essentially areas that connect your spine, segments of your spine to your chest, to your arms, and it goes down to your legs also.
Dermatomes. I thought it was something I could take. I would have taken it. I'll try anything.
No easy path, Joshua.
Damn it. Are there any easy solutions to any of these problems?
A lot of this, unfortunately, is going to be just a lot of mindfulness of your, like, people think like, oh, I'm going to have to like do a lot of strengthening. I'm doing like, no, the best thing to do is just be mindful of how you're sitting, how you're moving, and adjusting.
Yeah.
Make it simple, make it so that you're able to correct it. Like, don't feel like you need to go to the gym and do like heavy weight and heavy, like crazy things. Like, no.
That's what my brain was doing. My brain was already creating some kind of circuit workout I'd have to do to strengthen all those back muscles.
No, not that that's not a bad thing to do. But if first, let's start with just mindfulness of your posture, getting those shoulders back, putting your feet on the ground, bringing your chin in, getting up every hour, doing some cat-cow just in your house, doing a little foam roller stuff, keep it simple.
Okay.
Yeah.
The last thing for me would be, I guess, what is the last recommendation you would have for people like Josh and I, are sad people who sit at our desk for 12 hours a day? Besides, of course, things that you said, is there any sort of big highlights you want to make sure writers take away from this?
I hate to sound repetitive, but it's going to be like, just get out of that position.
Get your ass up.
Get your ass up.
Get your butt up.
Heard.
This is it.
This was fun. I'm going to come back next week, right?
I would love that. I'll bring in more specific maladies for you.
But I don't want to talk about PT. I want to talk about other stuff.
Oh,
I want to talk
movies.
about writing.
We're going to get her into movies. That is the new goal of the podcast.
Yeah, Melody's going to come on and talk about some unscripted shows. Some reality shows.
That's my jam. It's bad.
Yeah.
We don't talk about those here. No, we don't talk about those.
Okay, yeah, this is not it.
This is wasting my time.
Melody, remind everyone again where you work in case they want to come see you.
Yes, come check us out. I work at Elite Ortho Sport Physical Therapy in LA, Brentwood area. If you need anything, come find us. We got a great clinic, kind of looks like a gym. We'll get you moving. We'll get you right. It's fun. You'll see Josh there.
There's an 80% chance I'll be there.
Amazing. All right, I'll wrap up with a quote of the day about self-care. To love oneself is the beginning of a lifelong romance. Oscar Wilde. Please remember to rate and subscribe. Follow us at Act2Writers for more awesome writing stuff. You can follow me, Tasha, at Story Thursday on Instagram or on Twitter at Tasha 3.0.
I'm Joshua Hallman on Twitter, Josh Hallman on Instagram. Melody, this is where you say where you are on social media if you
Oh my
want
God.
to.
If you want to see a bunch of pictures of my family, you can find me. But you really don't.
I don't think you want
find
to
me.
give that out to people.
Yeah.
Okay. Suit yourself.
As always, the Act 2 podcast is a production of Act 2, a network and support group for the everyday working screenwriter. This episode was edited by Paul Lundquist.